So, I want to talk a little bit about the first step in our 6-part system for beings and beehives, and that is the fundamentals, knowing your hive. So, we want to be like a beekeeper, right? And be able to take a bird's eye view. We open up the hive, we pull out a section, we take the cross section, hold it up to the light, and we study what parts of the hive are humming, which parts are experiencing stuckness, which need more resources, where things are growing and full of possibility. So, what we really want to do is open up our workplaces and take stock of what's humming and what's not. So, we've developed a 6-part hive assessment that will help you focus your leadership on the areas of potential in your organization. And these draw from both organizational theory and anthropology of organizations and from hive science to really think about the health of your system.
Something I think about as I work with leaders often, Ali, is this idea of slowing down so that we can speed up. So every great queen, what she knows is before I address something in the hive, I should understand where, why, and how to address that thing. So as we talk about this assessment, what queens are looking for is there lethargy? Do I have a lack of productivity? Do I have a lack of engagement? What stage of growth am I in? Am I a new growth hive where I've just emerged as a new leader or a new queen, needing to develop my own model? Who can I learn from? Who's done this before? Am I an existing queen who has just moved 50% of my hive to a new location and I'm starting fresh? Am I a queen who hasn't got the buy-in from my team yet? So understanding the different states and why people are engaged and not engaged or excited or not excited are critical before we take action in the next steps.
Yeah, and also, as an anthropologist, one thing we study is different cultural relationships to the ideas of time and space. So, not to go way out there, but just to think when we are in organizations that are experiencing a lot of abrupt change, as all of us are right now, it's really chaotic out there. We're really centered on the question of time. What just happened? What's coming next? What might we anticipate or can't anticipate a couple of quarters from now? And when we are in such a space that we're always playing catch up with that, we often don't get to zoom out and pay attention to the space, the system, the structure that we've built. So this gives us the opportunity to sort of settle in and look at the system that we work in, our organizations, who's who in the hive, and who is going to move, who's going to be somewhere else, and what's going to change over time. But by focusing in on the shape of the hive itself and the current state of the hive, we learn a lot about how we're going to be able to handle that change that happens over time in the future.
Yeah, Ali, something that you just said there, it made me think of just the pressure that the workforce is under right now. As a person, especially in middle management, you're getting pressure from the top and pressure from the bottom, and the instinct is to have a knee-jerk reaction to say, oh, I have this deficit on my team, so maybe I'm just gonna throw a training together for the team. And this is where the opportunity to pause comes in, because if we don't get a chance to pause, reflect, and assess, then you might be addressing the wrong causation, or you might be addressing something that's not really feeding to the actual problem, or maybe you don't have a problem that you think that you have. So by being able to balance the pressure that's coming down from the top and from the bottom, and taking time to assess, we'll be able to make more decisive and strategic decisions that are good for the whole team.
Yeah, I mean, what anthropology, as social and behavioral science, has in common with hive science and the natural sciences is this: the science part. It's absolutely necessary to craft a representation of the system that we're working with before we get into the gears and the mechanics and start messing with things. So it becomes really easy in all of the chaos to throw keywords or readings or articles that we're reading online down into the problem and try to apply them. But what we lack sometimes is an opportunity to really pull things apart and understand the system that we're working on in the first place. So this is the science part. First, we're going to know our hive. Then we're going to look at our teammates' individual strengths in the swarm. Then we're going to look at the dance of co-creation and collaboration. How intentional are we about this? And again, how do we slow things down and put a natural system and a cycle to it to make it work for us? Then we're going to design the system itself. How is it arranged? How do we work together? Where are people? What do our regular work days look like? What does our system look like? This is how we're going to stay resilient over time. Then we get into strategizing by season. This is where we think about resilience over the course of not just the quarter, but years. What happens when our team gets shaken up? What happens when that merger goes through? By creating a culture in which we are responsive but not reactive to change, we're going to have something much more resilient. And then we get into the really fun question, and this is kind of where your expertise is, Chad. Scaling with harmony. What does harmony look like?
Yeah, one of the favorite activities that I do with teams is getting people into a clear definition of what does it feel like to be a part of a harmonious team, specifically in your organization, because each organization is unique. I just got done working with a state client, which was, a government entity, which has a very different feel to it. And they define harmony as something different than a fast-paced tech sales organization. And so really leaning into what are these core components, everything you just went through, Ali, that get us to the point of harmony, and then being able to connect energetically to that and get into a flow state.
We're going to get your hive humming. Hive humming, that's what we're going to do. So pay attention. We've got a couple more lessons after this one. But when it comes to the very first steps, it's all about knowing your hive. And we'll walk you through that in our course.